What's going on?
I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I got eyes in the back of my head, I'm seeing. Take me for granted and you know I'm leaving. I'ma take what's mine with the webs I'm weaving. I could take this crowd from seeing to believing. Got a taste for blood and my tongue keeps bleeding. From the words I spit, so sharp, so freezing. So cold, behold, frostbite they feeling. I could tear you apart or I could go heal them. Don't believe in fate, don't believe in ceilings. I just need a taste and my mind starts feeling. I don't pace myself, I grind on kneeling. Got lust for change, I just love the feeling. I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. Cause I'ma live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll soon be winning. I live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll soon be winning. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and happy Memorial Day weekend. Long weekend for a lot of you guys that have to do the 9 to 5 or throughout the week. But welcome to Dead Air Live and the Dead Air Full Spectrum channel. It is our Sunday night show in and about the topics of the paranormal with fantastic guests and topics. Ken, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well, and I also just want to take a moment to thank everyone who has served our country, yourself included, George, for your service. And this is a weekend of remembrance and appreciation. So I hope all of you served are enjoying it and certainly getting the recognition that you very much deserve, as well as our everlasting gratitude. So it's been a week. It's always a week. There's the weather is turning, the seasons are turning, and we always got something planned. A little bit we'll talk about what we are going to bring to some of you folks next Saturday night.
Yes. By the way, yeah, speaking of weather, is there any feedback noise of my air conditioner that you can hear? This mic's pretty good. Shouldn't pick up anything yet because it's
Nope.
become brutal already. We're in May and we're hitting 90 on the average during the daytime. So, and
I just threw mine in. I haven't turned them on yet, but like a Boy Scout, I'm always prepared. We had a couple of 80-degree days, and you would think that we just were dropped in the middle of the Sahara. We're still getting used to it here.
yep. I think that yesterday it was spoke to my nephew in New Jersey, or my cousin rather, and said it was 45 degrees and downpour.
Yeah, it hasn't been great the last couple of days, but it's up and down. It's just how it is here. It's how we deal with stuff.
Yeah.
Hello, Sydney. Hello, everybody in chat tonight. It's good to hear from you. We got a great show for you tonight, and I hope you're enjoying the weekend as well.
Up and down. That's the appropriate term for our field, and the ups and downs of what we have to deal with. And we're going to get into a lot of topics tonight, Ken. And if you want, let's introduce our friends, not just our guests,
Sure.
who will be joining us tonight for this discussion.
Yeah, we are looking forward to this tonight. We may take this in a little bit of different direction. We're not going to limit ourselves to anything, but we're going to talk about a facet of the paranormal field that I think is extremely important. I know a lot of you agree with us on that, but it's kind of underappreciated, and I can't think of two better guests tonight. Two people we're genuinely excited to sit down and talk with about this subject. You know them from their incredible work in the paranormal field, their investigations, and of course, their appearances on television and social media. But beyond all of that, they're also just wonderful people and great friends of ours. So joining us tonight are Cody Ray DesBiens and Satori Hawes. We hadn't seen them on Dead Air for a while. Better known to many as the Paranormal Couple. Guys, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you. We're glad to be here. Did George just disappear?
I think George's camera is having its own thing going on. Oh, no, no, he's there. He's back.
There he is. And he, what's going on? No.
No questions.
I'm staying silent tonight.
All right.
But that doesn't apply to everybody in chat. If you have questions, sure, send them out there, and at the appropriate time, we'll get to them and we'll pass along. Hey, Cody and Story. Okay, we're going to sit back for the first 10 minutes and let everybody say hello to
Hi,
Cody and Satori. There's Brendan. Aaron's here.
Hi, Aaron.
So, yeah, it's been a minute since we had you guys on. I know that you've been busy as hell. Just got back from Ohio.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a great event.
And I know you guys had some fun times there. And you know, it's there's a lot going on, a lot coming up. So I'm sure we'll get to that as soon as possible because you guys got appearances, we've got investigations, the chat has questions, and I got plenty of them tonight. So
Oh, cool. Well, it'll be fun.
it will be fun, guaranteed. Hi, Cody. Okay, here you go. Go ahead, get him up there. Fine, you know, whatever.
Hello.
Very
Tell
cool.
us where you're from, or am I going to regret that?
Oh, no. That'll blow up the comment section.
Hey, listen, real quick, for those who are tuning in, I talked about next Saturday. We're going to be doing a live investigation for our Patreon membership from a location in Fall River, Massachusetts that's historically significant. No, it is not the Lizzie Borden house.
Mm-mm.
No, scratch that. We haven't lost our minds. The name of it is the Lafayette Durfee House. People in the area are familiar with it. So we've been actually invited to go in there, and the invitation extended to like filming in there. So I was kind of like, well, I don't necessarily always jump on those things, but in this particular case, for a lot of different reasons, it's probably a good idea. So those of you who are saying, how come we can't see it on YouTube? We feel our Patreon viewers that support us, we always like to do something a little unique to them, but never fear, because as is usually the case, there will be a post-mortem here on Dead Air where we will present the results, and we'll have a lot of the people there involved, as well as some folks probably from the house itself. But it's extremely historically significant, and boy, does that set us up for the show tonight.
Yeah, the difference with becoming one of our Patreon members, signing up before these investigations, is when it's being shown live, you get to participate. From the chat, you can tell us things that you're seeing. If you have questions for the investigators at the time, you're more than welcome to join on board also. And it's not too difficult to say yes when it's $3 a month for Patreon. You can
Sure.
go to patreon.com/Dead Air Paranormal to sign up and join the fun. And don't forget, every Monday we also do a live town hall where you can be on screen with Ken and myself, and
Oh
on
boy.
occasion a special guest that tends to join us also. $3 a month. Join us on Patreon.
This is my tribute to Cody tonight.
I love it.
No one can tell. I'm like Clark Kent. See, oh, there's Ken. No, where is he? He's gone.
Like twins, the two of you.
Clark
Gee,
Kent or Buddy Holly, one
that's
of the
like
two.
me with my bangs.
Who are
When I go
you?
wear it.
Yeah, so we are also, before we get going, just to wrap this part of it up, we're trying out some brand new cameras with great thanks to Julie DeMay that you're going to love. And we're going to be doing some different experiments with those because it's the kind of thing where we don't even have to be in the room with them. So we're going to do a little experimentation there where we may do EVP sessions by dropping off some equipment and retreating back to another area to see maybe if we affect things, maybe we don't. But you'll be able to see them. Not only that, but how about infrared and color? That is going to be a cool thing. So we can't wait to share it with you. It's our maiden voyage. So the quality of the cameras and the fact that they are going to be stationary and give you something all night to stare at. And George will be in studio switching back and forth to whatever he wants to. But we can't wait to bring it to you because this is almost kind of like a next gen thing. And it's not just for obviously broadcast investigations, but we're going to be using these on just our old basic investigations. And it's a wonderful thing. So consider it. And listen, I shouldn't say this, but if you want to see it live, if you want to pay the $3, we'd love you to stay around forever and ever and ever, but you don't have to. You know, if this is something that you just want to get in on live, and after that, what you do with your membership, totally up to you. Totally up to you. But
You'll be addicted. Don't worry.
we do hope you stick around
All
with us.
right. All right, Ken, I'll leave you to it for the first part of the show. And if you dare to bring me back on later on, I will try to remain very restrained with our guest tonight.
Okay, promises, right?
Okay.
All right, thank you, George. Okay, so here we go. At the top of the show, we talked about an underappreciated aspect of the paranormal, and that is history and the locations that we often go to. And I think you guys are kind of like me in as much as you're history nerds, you enjoy it.
Yes.
There are a lot of people who don't want to know a lot of background. For instance, psychics who go into a place don't want a lot of information, understandable. I've talked to investigators that don't want a lot of information because they think it might skew their results.
Yeah.
You folks in the past have gone into places where you've asked not to get so much if you are doing your method.
Yes.
There are other places we've gone to or I haven't told you much about it for that reason. So, you know, however someone decides to approach it, that's fine. But I want to start off by saying when you're entering a location for the very first time, and we assume that there are reports that it's haunted, but not necessarily all the time. How does knowing the history ahead of time actually matter to you and your investigation and your approach to it? Do you like to know as much as possible, or does it kind of go back and forth?
I don't know if the answer is going to be the same for the both of us, but for me, I don't like knowing until we go in, till we do our method. That's just for me, like, because then I know what we're getting is obviously genuine, and
Yeah.
then we can take it from there and investigate from that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to answer for you.
So I'm kind of on both sides of that coin. I think it depends on two things. It depends on what the location is, and the bigger thing, it depends on who's there. Like if we're out with Rise Up, and doing an investigation, we're all on the same page that what's going on is legit, right? So give me the history, and I don't really care because
Right.
we're all on the same page here. Even if it's a new place, maybe it'll help us call out somebody who wouldn't normally come through. On the flip side of that, if we're going to a new place that we've never been to with newer people that I wouldn't say are our friends per se, maybe acquaintances or things like that, then I say keep all the history far away from us and we go in completely blind and then see what we get from there. And then maybe towards the end of the night, confirm what we've gotten and give us a little extra as well, and we'll kind of branch off of that.
Yeah, but also I feel not knowing the history. Watch, we're going to start a debate right now. I also feel like not knowing the history and going in, at least with our method, I feel like we're just there to communicate with whoever's there. I feel like if we know ahead of time who might be haunting the house, we might specifically be just looking and focusing on one person when the key to a lot of information is someone that we haven't focused on.
All right, well, how about we compromise and just get the history halfway through?
Okay.
Yeah. Well, for anybody who doesn't know, or if you've been around us, maybe you know this already. This is how we sort of work it. For one thing, starting from the very first time that I got involved in this, I wanted to know everything because I always had this desire to cut to the chase, because you know what it's like to sit in a room. Are you a man? Are you a woman? Are you a child? Did you used to live here? And it's hit or miss. Maybe you get an answer, maybe you don't. So what we do with you guys, like I'm talking to you like you don't know, if we are at a location for the very first time and no one has been there, we probably, usually Story will say, I want to know, I don't want to know, I don't want to know. She's one of these, see no, like hear no evil.
That's how I walk around.
Aliens. So what we'll do in going to a new location, I will probably ask them, listen, could you do your thing like right from the jump if we haven't been there before? But it's the same thing as knowing the history, because if we can cut to the chase, it's like, who might be here? Oh, it's Thomas, let's say. Well, when we start doing EVP sessions and things like that, we can cut through that and get right to Thomas and his wife, Mary, or their children, so we can be specific and not beat around the bush so much. If we return to a place, we're more apt to already have that information, start other investigative methods, and maybe toward the middle or the end, rely on Cody and Satori. Okay, listen, tell them we appreciate it, tell them thank you if there's anything they want to add. So there's two ways of kind of approaching that and looking at it, So as far as the place, have you ever gone into a place where you thought one thing was happening, but then you uncovered some piece of history? It could be a physical object or it could be information that you're given that completely blew the whole thing up and changed your whole perspective on that place.
Jeez. Well, I
There's
think
things we can't talk about.
there's quite a few that have taken unexpected turns. And I think the most surprising for us and the people around us has been the times where we have gone into a location expecting to do what we normally do and communicate, and then we're led kind of on a scavenger hunt to find certain objects and things like that. One of them was an episode of Ghost Hunters where they literally, and this was so cool, and I wish people could see the behind the scenes part, especially of that episode, because Satori was still in college at that point, and we couldn't fly in with the rest of the team, so they literally flew us in, and we got there just in time for the investigation, and then once the investigation was done, we flew out of there. So we had no prep on pretty much where we were going, any history of where we were going. We just knew we were going to California, and that was it. And we get there, and it ends up being this old jail called the Bastille, we're just sent in, and we start doing our method, and we're led to what turns out to be the warden's old office, and he's saying that he had a pen that was gifted to him that meant a lot to him.
It was from his wife.
And it was under the floor. Like it kind of felt between the wall and the floor, behind the baseboard. So you would have had to kind of remove the baseboard to get to it. And we're like, okay, so we went around the room. We're with Chandler Riggs from The Walking Dead. He was a guest on that episode, and he's freaking out and doesn't know what to do. And finally, we pinpoint the spot on where the pen is supposed to be, and we're like, okay, we're up stepping back because we don't want anything to look fishy. We're gonna step back. We'll call in,
So
Jason and have him come
so
in.
I call my dad and I'm like, hey, there's a spirit here. Know how this sounds, but there's a pen in the floor or in the wall. And my dad's like, okay. And we're like, we need you to come and see if this is true. And there's cameras around us the whole time. And he comes in, and this shows the kind of trust that they have in what we do. My dad definitely got into that floor area. And, oh, did we disappear, Cody?
No.
Oh, well, it disappeared for us. Our camera disappeared. And they found an old, I think it's like a fountain pen in the wall, like in that wall floor area. So it was cool to be able to show, physical proof of what we're doing. And that's happened a couple times where we've investigated and they're like, hey, this thing that belonged to me is out in the woods. I need you to go dig it up. And I'll show you where it is if you can dig it up for me. And so it's kind of like this transactional deal when we investigate
and then,
sometimes.
there's been times where individuals have come through that, were missing people, which, we can't really dive into, but I know Ken was there for
and
one
we're
of
going to
those.
leave it there.
But it was confirmed by the family. We were there when spirits have said that certain people are thinking about them. The names haven't even been said out loud. But it'll say, Ken is thinking about me, or somebody else is thinking about me, and then who are you? And
So
spell
when
out their
those
names.
when
So,
those happen, it definitely changes the course of the investigation.
yeah, because now it kind of flips into, what is going on here? Like
Yeah.
what's actually happening here?
Yeah, I wanted to just cover that real quick. We've talked about it on Monday nights. We've talked about it here where I was doing a dive into history at a place that we'd spent over a decade at and learning new family members. And I came across one that hadn't really been acknowledged. So I am sitting there at the end of the session saying, okay, we're going to take a break. And I'm thinking, well, when we come back, I want to ask about this person. When they got back together, the message was tapped out, Ken thinking about me. And her name was Louise. And she just, kind of had a message, and it was amazing. But it kind of leads me to a question because the only thing I could think of after that, like, oh, it was remarkable and it was crazy and all the rest of that. But then I started to think maybe how good it must have felt for her that it could have been me or anybody was thinking about her because she's never mentioned in relation to the house. It's usually other spirits, if you will, that you're being acknowledged and you had a chance to, have a short chat and that you were remembered. And I just I hope that there was like some comfort and some joy that they got out of that she did for just being recognized. It's like,
Oh yeah.
hey, I was here too.
Oh yeah. One thing I will say, and this might stir up some people in the paranormal community, it's kind of, whatever, but wouldn't be the first time. But we have noticed that spirits aren't very interested in performance, and they're not very interested in questions about things like the other side, how they passed away, things like that. They really just want to be acknowledged, and they want to have a conversation like you and we, you and us are right now. I mean,
Right.
I can't tell you how many conversations have ended with spirit because they don't want to talk about things much further, about the other side, them passing away, touchy topics like that, or things they can't really tell us. But the conversations get super long and super rich when you ask them, okay, what was your favorite meal? What do you like about the space? What do you not like about how the space looks now? I mean, I have recipes from spirits because they got so excited to talk about things they love doing that
Right.
they're willing to share recipes with us, and I have them written down. So it's those conversations are much more important to them because it actually makes them feel seen and them feel heard than just us throwing questions at them.
Well, it's also cool, and we've had this happen many times where they're asking us questions. And that is one of my favorite parts of the whole thing. Like we brought balloons in the paint house, and they're, what's that? So we have to explain what a Mylar balloon is, and why?
What's the
Well,
point?
that's a great question. I guess for celebrations or something like that. And what did that woman spell? Like very odd or something?
Yes. Yeah.
I don't disagree with you. It is kind of weird.
It is. I mean, there have been times where Cody and I would be working when we were working at the Conjuring House at one point, we would like sing a song or something in the house and talk to the spirits, and they'd be like, I didn't like that very much.
No.
Because it's not something they were used to. And it's not an insult to us. It's just, I don't like the way music sounds today. Or something along those lines. And it's fun to learn about them, and they want to engage in conversation.
Something we can agree on.
Yeah. Yeah. So we would often play different kinds of songs and different types of music to get, okay, they like this kind, they do not like this kind.
No.
Right.
So it's really just spending time with people.
I have no idea if there's a lot of Swifties on the other side at this point. I have no clue. Let's go back to the Conjuring House. Obviously, you guys have deep ties to the property. What made it, and I know this was important to you when you were giving tours or handling events. What was important to you to really dig into the history of that place as much as you did, and the people involved in it and the lineage involved, rather than just focusing on the paranormal activity there? Because you know, you could easily just get away with that, telling stories about this happened here, that happened there, and this is, what occurred. But you guys really decided to really dive into it and give people the background on it. It was important to you. Why was that so important to you?
Conjuring House was different because there was a Hollywood movie made about it, and we had literally thousands of people visiting there every month. And the first job for us was to try correcting that. And to correct that history, we had to have accurate history to present, to dispel a lot of the myths that were literally made by the movies, by Hollywood. And um, and we learned a lot about the house while we were working there as a staff. But after we started working there, after we ended our reign there, I guess, we ended our staff there, we started learning even more that we didn't even know. And Satori is, still digging in, deeper on the history part.
Yeah. I will say paranormal is a big reason, at least for me, why to dig into the history of the house. Mostly because you can believe us or not, but we have spoken to those spirits and they're like family to us. And I think when you speak with them and you really get to know them, they're not these scary, evil beings that you see portrayed by a movie. They're these farm hands and family members, and
Right.
just to learn about them, they're so kind and they're so welcoming and warm, and there's different personalities depending on who you talk to. So when we talked to them, it really made us want to go, okay, well, what can we find out about their lives to keep them permanent? You don't want them to be overshadowed. So what can we do from there? And all of us on staff had different relationships with the spirits in that house. So it was really, how can we memorialize them? And I think the history, the history is so interesting because it's not this evil witch and all these things. You're talking about this family that pretty much ran Harrisville. Like that was, at the time, it was Rhodesville. Like it literally, they had this whole farm, and you wouldn't know that they had an apple orchard that they prided, and they had cows and all these things, and that they worked so hard along the river with their different companies. And even recently, I came across photos of some of the Arnolds, and it's so interesting because now it's like, now there's a face to the people that we've talked to.
Right.
It's just a memorializing thing for us, I think, and I think it's something really important to my family that's the story of the house needs to be told properly, and it needs to be valued as a historic location. I mean, whether or not something huge to history happened there, it's still so rich in history that we
Right.
know of even currently, and we're still building on it. There's still things we're figuring out.
Yeah, I mean, because in every place you get the stars of the show, right?
Yeah.
You get the stars of the show, but you never get to find out who worked the farm, who cleaned the clothes, who cooked the meals, if they were of a certain status.
Hmm.
You know, those are the forgotten people, like the unsung heroes. But with that kind of content, you get to learn that there was more there. And, you know, there were relatives that visited, and there were kids that come over, and they had picnics or whatever the case may be, right?
Hmm.
So that's important to build on that. For those who aren't aware, our group historian, Chris Blanchette, has written a remarkable paper on the Arnold family. It's not so much focused on the Conjuring house, but all of the property and the settlements. So I'm going to try to get a link to that during the break because I really want people to read this. Chris worked so hard on this, and you know, sometimes there were things he left out or maybe was mistaken on, and he was the first one to say, okay, here's a correction on this. So it was kind of a work in progress. When you first read that, was there anything in it, two sides of that coin, that you say, okay, this confirms what we were saying, and were there other things that you were like, holy crap, I didn't know that. That surprised me.
Yeah. I think. Hmm. One thing that surprised me was there was always activity in that house to suggest that there were spirits of children, but we didn't really have documents to suggest or even evidentiary documents that could help us kind of be like, okay, there were children that passed away on the property. It was just kind of legends and things. One thing that's really interesting to me is we have found records of children that have passed away while their parents were in the house,
Mm.
children that have passed away from illness during that family's time in the house. So things like that are really surprising because now you can be like, okay, yes, this makes sense why people have experienced children in this area. It's real. A baby crying. Yes, there was a baby that passed away. You know, things like that. That's interesting for me. One thing I didn't know was exact locations of where people passed away as well.
Mm.
That Chris was able to find.
Right.
I think it's just so cool because we're reading all different kinds of documents from different historians and researchers in that area and outside that area, and we're able to kind of piece together a time frame of everything and when it happened. The only thing that we're still trying to figure out is exactly when the house was built. Because there's kind of debate. Was it
Yeah.
closer to some people believe it was before 1736. There's some
Right.
research that believes that, and then there's some research that believes 1768. So it's sometime we're trying to still figure that out. Hmm.
You know, it's hard to suss that stuff out. I remember Chris being in there, I guess the last time he was there, and he was just taking a tour of the architecture where there was brick behind the kitchen. He was like, well, that's 1980s. That was put up in the 1980s. So, I mean, Chris is like, he's the man when it comes to that stuff. I mean, that's his thing. That's what he has a master's in, you know. So it was so cool that he decided, of all places, to like choose that one.
Hmm.
That I'm really going to hit the books on that. So I think it's safe to say that spirits respond and acknowledge investigators differently when they're treated a certain way, you know, as regular people rather than just trying to capture evidence. And we're kind of on that kick here for a little bit that we try to advise people. We're not the final word, we're not experts, but you don't want to come right out of the gate with asking about the worst day of a person's life, right? You
Yeah.
know, so did you die here when you. And a lot of times people don't know what to ask, and
Hmm.
it's awkward. I understand that. But it's like you gotta just put yourself in the frame of mind that I don't know. You're not trying to sell them insurance, but You just, how do you strike up a conversation with somebody you don't know at a cookout, or,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, ask them what they did for a living, or, there's no bad questions, but you kind of want to stay away from that stuff.
Yeah, but sometimes even the spirits aren't really conversational, but they want to show they care and that they're invested in what you're trying to do. I mean, remember when we were at Pain House, Ken, and we were
Mhm.
up on the top floor, the second floor, and the spirit of Sarah, she came over and was like, "You're cold. Go downstairs."
Mhm.
Know? And obviously she's not feeling that it's cold, but she can see that we're in distress from how cold it is up there. So
Like,
she's
so
telling
gracious, so kind. That's what
us.
someone would do. It's like, because we're all bundled up, and it's like, oh, dear, go down to the first floor.
Yeah. See, that just shows that they care and they're putting into the conversation as well.
Well, she was the matron of the house, and she ran the inn when it was an inn. So she was kind of in the customer service business. So it's not surprising that,
Yeah.
go down and have a hot toddy or something like that. So let's talk a little bit about, because we're going to talk about it more later, haunted objects.
Yes.
So I think that it's safe to say that you guys subscribe to the theory that objects are haunted. I'm going to use air quotes because they represent some kind of memory, or maybe it's a room, maybe it's an object that has a memory connected to it. Because a lot of people, we've talked about this on this show and on yours, where people think that something animates the body of a doll and makes it go like this. I'm more of the mind that it's a spirit adjacent to it
Mm-hmm.
that may be affecting it physically, but that's the sum total of it, right? There's got to be some memory or emotional attachment.
Yes, most of the time. We have different categories for haunted objects and air quotes. Um, so some could be because they were just involved in a situation where there was mass tragedy or casualty or something that imprinted on the item, kind of residually,
Yeah.
where it's not really a spirit, it's more the energy. We do have cases where, like objects moving, we don't necessarily believe that there's a spirit trapped within that item. They're using it to kind of interact with the environment.
Right.
It's not exactly them and in the item itself. But there are some cases where different practices and beliefs believe they can put a spirit within something, kind of like in a bottle or in a necklace, or
Right. Yeah.
where we do feel the energy and we do have activity that implies there's something around it. But do we have exact proof that it's stuck within it? No.
Yeah, yeah, and then there's those objects where a lot of intention has been put into the item, and that can be good intention, like we have rosary beads and things like that, where a lot of prayer and love is poured into them, and the good intentions, and then then there's the opposite to that, where a lot of negative intentions are put into objects, ritualistic items and things like that. So it's not a spirit per se, or a demon, or anything like that, but it's more the energy that's poured into the object that people can now feel and react to. So it's kind of different categories that go throughout the museum there.
Yeah, I can vouch for Sandy. We got a great response. I'm not sure where it was. Was it at Wildwood or Rolling Hills? We asked about food up in Nurse Emma's place, and she gave us a so I don't know if she missed it or whatever. So my last question for this hour. So would you say that haunted objects are almost like emotional time capsules who carry pieces of the past with them?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
I
Yeah,
believe a lot of them
a lot
are.
of them, are, and a lot of them are. What's a good word for this? A lot of them are like um, if you're looking at like string theory, the object is one end of the string, and the other end there is up wherever the other side is, and they're communicating that way. So that this is the Earth's conduit almost to interaction per se, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So a lot of times the object is the connection with the other side, and some other objects are just, like you said, they're just kind of time capsules almost.
I just feel like a
And
lot of them are
remnants.
something that people loved a lot. And if I was a spirit on the other side and I loved something, I'd always want to check in on it and interact with it still.
Well, there's so many stories, and I'll end with this and bring George in. When we were in New Hampshire, and there was an object that you purchased at an estate sale, and I got one too. And your particular object was underneath something on, or maybe it wasn't, but anyway, it was on a coffee table at the place we were staying. The spirit of the gentleman who had passed, I know he was talking about that. I thanked him for parting with what I bought. But he said he could tell it was there because it was glowing. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yes, I do remember that.
Yes.
I don't have a further story or anything, but I thought just that in and of itself, and I wonder if that emotional attachment makes things have an aura
I
around
think
them or
that's
something.
exactly what happens. I think that's the way that spirits are able to go places that are important to them and check in on things that are important to them. It's almost like a little glowing light that it's a piece of them is with it almost. So it makes this aura, this glow. That's what spirits have consistently said to us.
Only if they cared about it, though. We found.
If it's
only
important.
Right.
if it was important to them. That's why I said it's like a connection. You're connected to it somehow from that other realm to this realm. You're somehow connected to it.
So now you need to ask spirits if they see anything with a glow when we go and investigate.
Yeah. I mean, because they give you these little breadcrumbs, and it's like, okay, let's follow up on that with someone else, and maybe they're giving you little clues. But I'm going to bring George back in here to the top of the hour, and I'll be back because I know we got some photos and we got some different things that we got to go over. Stay tuned. Keep those questions coming. On you, George.
What's your guys' favorite color?
Favorite color?
Green.
Blue.
Investigating better in sneakers, boots, or sandals? Boy, this is tough.
Probably sneakers.
Sneakers. Depends on the location. Sometimes boots.
People would prefer barefoot, but
That's true.
This is so tough holding back. I have to side with Satori about going in blind, and I think you guys are prime reasons why it reinforces my thoughts on that, because you guys go in and lo and behold, surprise, surprise, there are spirits that have piggybacked with the people that are with you.
Mhm.
So a lot of the times, you can go in there and say, we're going to do all the history and we're going to talk about Tom. And then all of a sudden, Judy shows up because Judy is attached to person A, B, or C. So I like the aspect of going in blind because you don't know who you're going to run into, not to mention transient spirits, which I guess I'll start my questions with that. What are your thoughts on transient spirits? Ones that just are passing by the location.
Not related to anybody there. Just like around.
Yeah, just around, just happen
Well,
to be there.
Well, we've experienced cases where spirits are just passing through.
yeah.
When we, at least in terms of our method, when we've tried to communicate with spirits, sometimes after a while it seems like the word spreads because you'll get a spirit that passed away down the street or something along those lines, and they're just passing through to see what's happening. So it makes me wonder if they're seeing a glow or a light that makes them just show up too. It definitely happens though.
Yeah, there's been a couple times where Spirit has said that they've seen, the light. I mean, they've always described it as like a beam that kind of shoots up in the air, and there's been a couple spirits that have said they've come over to it. One of them was while we were doing Sam and Colby in that building there, where someone who passed away, on the streets of wherever we were, Providence or wherever,
I can't even
just kind of
remember where it
wandered in and started talking to us there, who had nothing to do with that building, but saw the light per se and wanted to say their message. So I think, at least for us, that's the reason why transient spirits kind of wander in. With other locations, I mean, there's been plenty of instances where, I remember doing a house many, many years ago. This is before I met Satori, before I met Ken. It was the first paranormal team I had ever joined. It was a private residence, and called us in because whenever her husband was away on a business trip, she would start having paranormal activity in her house. I'm like, okay, that's weird. So come to find out, we're doing EVP sessions and everything else, and we get the name Bill on EVP. Someone gets the name Bill, and they start researching, and come to find out, a few years prior, right around the time where the activity started, there was a car accident that happened right up the road, and a guy named Bill passed away in the car accident. And we theorized that when the husband went away, maybe he was just comforting her. Maybe because it was a sudden death, he was kind of lost and just kind of wandered into, the closest house that was nearby. Maybe not realizing he had passed away and looking for help or something like that. But for some reason, it was whenever her husband went away, he would show up. And after we had told her this information, she was no longer scared of it, but she was, more comforted by it, that somebody was keeping her company while she was alone in the house. So I think, depending on the situation, there's certain reasons why spirits that have no business being at a location, because they don't fit the history, kind of just show up. It all depends.
Your dad is in chat and has a question to stump the both of you, so we'll wait for that to come up. Ken will put it on screen.
Hey,
Oh no.
that's a dangerous thing, but
Yeah, I'm listening to you, Cody, and I'm thinking about all the parallels to case in point, years and years ago, using the shack hack and doing the summer spirit box in the backyard. And the same thing, the spirits would claim to be able to see somewhat of a spotlight up in the sky, is the way that they were attracted to that device while we were doing those particular sessions. So
Yeah.
that really strikes up that curiosity of, is it the method? Is it the communication? What is creating that beam? The connection between the two of you, if it is polarity, it's electrical, then no different than what the shack hack was doing. Jason's question has come up on screen, Ken. Okay. How do you prove a paranormal experience wasn't created by the witness's expectations, memory distortion, or environmental influence?
well, it depends on the method you use to get activity. What would be considered proving paranormal?
That's true. You would have to have.
Because paranormal, technically, no matter what you do, there's going to be people trying to disprove it.
Yeah, I mean, even what we do. I wouldn't consider that 100% proof. Of course.
To us,
Not
our
yet.
method would be the answer, but that's not something everybody believes in. So then you have to take it from there.
That's true. I mean, there's a lot of cases where we've gone into where people want paranormal to happen, and every single thing that happens in their house, they blame it on the paranormal. It's almost like when a psychic tells you that, you're going to have car trouble in the near future, and eventually you're going to have car trouble, and you're going to blame it on the psychic was right. They said we were going to have car trouble.
Isn't he
So-
like the original ghost hunter? Isn't he supposed to be answering this question?
He claims it. I don't know. He put T-shirts out for it. I'm not sure. But if following on what Jason's saying, is the possibility while you are doing the method a psychic connection with individuals in the home?
We've had, every time we've used the method, it's always been a spirit with an identity, but there have been times where spirit has explained things differently than the clients have told us.
Yeah.
Or the people asking for help. Sometimes spirits do sell out people, just so people know ahead of time. Sometimes they will tell us if you are lying, if you are changing the story, making things up. Sometimes they will.
So it's not a manifestation, in your opinion.
I don't think we've ever communicated with a manifestation that's from somebody living. You know what I'm saying?
Like willed into existence kind of thing, Cody.
I'm trying to remember a time. We've done this so many times.
No, I mean, we haven't experienced that, but people have had like the Philip experiment and things like that, where they've willed something, a ghost, into existence and claim to have communicated with them. What is he saying now?
Secondly, if ghosts can manipulate physical objects, why can't we consistently measure the energy source behind it under controlled conditions? We are consistently trying to do that. So that is something that we do in our museum. I mean, you know this because we're always talking about it. And we have at times had objects measure different strange energy.
And I think for us, and I think Jay would agree with this, it's very difficult for us to get controlled conditions, right? I mean, you would need a controlled environment to do that, and a lot of times we don't have access to that.
And also, that's only if spirits can manipulate a physical object 24/7. We don't believe a spirit is always with
right.
the item.
You'd have to know when the object is going to be manipulated, for one, and you'd have to make sure it's going to be manipulated in the control environment, and you have to get the controlled environment. So, I mean, we've personally tried getting controlled environments, for what we do, and we've been turned away by a few of them, just because we're doing what we're doing. So that's difficult to come across.
I guess that question also goes into spirits cannot be consistently measured. Like, we've had cases where people have had activity and we haven't gathered any evidence to suggest, like physical. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that question's kind of big. Like, it has a broader...
Yeah.
Well,
he's doing that on purpose.
there's our side of that investigation too, where we are only assuming what we are using to monitor this activity is working, is made for it. No one has really come up with something that can do what we need it to do. Maybe Caltech, somebody who really can, decipher how can I measure this energy, but we're basing it on what we know in science, or as we call it, science as we know it now.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
haven't discovered what possibly could be done out there also.
And there's other equipment out there that measures, EMF, for example, and very minute changes, but that equipment costs tens of thousands of dollars on most cases, and none of us can afford it. So if someone wants to invest a lot of money into this scientific equipment, which I can't think of any team that is using that type of equipment to detect small, minuscule changes, because that's what it actually would be. I mean, if we're going on the theory that it's the energy that's within our cells right now that is moving on to a different realm, that is completely minuscule and can't be monitored on any of the meters,
Not
physically, that we have, that most teams are using, a K2 meter or a tri-field meter or anything like that. Some tri-field meters are sensitive enough that when you put your hand in front of it, the needle moves. But there's a lot of things that make that needle move, and you can't pinpoint what exactly is causing that.
You mean then the cat balls are not really the most reliable?
No.
But they're fun.
But interesting when they move.
You guys are getting grilled by Jason tonight, and
All right,
I
let's do
would
it.
not upset him. I mean, look at that. That's like a mug shot.
Why
do paranormal experiences always
I
like this question.
Culture of the witness.
So I definitely think a lot of paranormal experiences are not exact when they're being told to us, and I don't think that that's the fault. Like, that's not something that's being purposefully done. I think people are using the beliefs that they have and things that they believe to be true, and they're kind of applying their experiences to that. And I think that's a lot of the time. And I don't think it's, again, purposefully done. But I do believe that in certain cases, people are misinterpreting things to their beliefs and culture.
And I think I kind of know where he's going with this one. He's kind of going on the fact, like, the people who only become possessed by a demon are the ones who believe in demons, Catholics and Christians and things like that. But if you look at most religions have some sort of demon, like a jinn or something like that. It's just a different name, right? So So I guess it's just because that's what that person believes in. That's what that person believes that thing should be called. And if you were Jewish, you'd call a rabbi in rather than a priest. So I think depending on what religion you belong to, you just call it something different. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Before we go to break, I have one more question going back to the aspect of history,
Okay.
talking about the procedures of getting to know the spirits, talking to the spirits, familiarity with the spirits. But how do you handle that in a tragic environment? Now, I'm not talking Lizzie Borden kind of scenario because Lizzie Borden is, you know, she was found innocent, but we're talking about a true tragedy, whether it's a residential location or it is a commercial location. How are you going to approach it if all you know in the history is a horrific tragedy?
As far as an object.
As far as the interview with the spirits,
Okay.
what are the questions you're going to bring up? You're not going to say what is your favorite meal
Right.
to a serial killer.
Well, I mean, you could.
You could. I think it's a tough thing. We don't exactly go out of our way to speak to people in spirit that have done negative things. But we have spoken to spirits that have done things that were tragic in life. One time we were in a prison, an old prison. And we were talking to a spirit, and it came through and admitted that he had done something. He had ultimately taken somebody else's life.
I forgot about that.
And it was just a normal conversation with someone until they decided to bring that up. We didn't know anything about this person. And we asked them, we said, do you regret it? And his response was, I regret it because I got caught. And that it just shows that human side of things. It's tough because you don't want to directly address something terrible that has happened to somebody or something terrible that somebody has done. I think with situations like that, we've never started off with the tragedy that's happened. We just ask who's here. What are you willing to speak about? Can we ask about your life? And I think over time, building trust with whoever we're talking to, they will tell us things about themselves and some of the things they went through.
And you kind of have to do it that way. And that's the same way reporters do it with, a lot of these terrible people. I mean, if you watch interviews with Gacy and Richard Ramirez and things like that, they always start off with, the easy questions, you know what I mean? Like, where'd you grow up? What was your life like growing up and things like that. And of course, it kind of gives you a bigger insight on why that person became the person they become. A lot of times, you can tell, by their past by asking those types of questions. But I think that opens up the conversation for dialogue and the trust with that individual because you can kind of judge the person off of the type of conversation that you're having with them, right? And then you can kind of go into those deeper questions.
And another really quick point, I think that people are so complicated and that therefore spirits are so complicated, so they may open up differently to different questions than others do. For example, we were in Tennessee and we were talking to a spirit, and a spirit came through and admitted that she was a nurse and she passed away down the street because there was a train accident. She was driving over train tracks and there was a train accident. And that was something that she openly shared with us. And that is a very tragic thing that she had went through. But she was more than willing to tell us that about herself. That's how I passed away. I'm okay now. So it really depends on the person you're talking to.
Yeah.
Right.
That's great.
Ken, if you want to come back on screen as we go to break here. Yeah, I can say this confidently. I never looked back initially on the history of a location I was going into. Usually it would be after, like Satori was talking about, for validation of what it was that we caught or experienced. I would line up my evidence caught over the years against anybody's out there. So it's still, I think, when you talk about free will, it's up to the spirits who they want to communicate with and what they want to communicate. So it's tomato tomato. But we're gonna go to break real quick here, guys. Give you guys a break. Give our guests a break real quick. Give Jason a break in chat. And when we come back on the other side, we'll continue our interview with Cody and Satori. You're watching Dead or Live on the Full Spectrum channel. We'll see you in a little bit.
We'll be right back after the commercial break.
I was built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on the gas, never stop competing. If you break my glass, then this life's gonna end.
I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name. Check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change. Possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be. Living in a time where disease is on every screen. I won't let them fester me, I know most are festering. Negativity is a plague for the mentally weak. No mercy, all I got is working. Never stop searching, never quench the thirsty. I'm toxic and psychotic, but there's logic, you can't stop it. It's been chronic since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic. Go! To last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can see all the healing. If the pain's in the past, move on from the grave and put your foot on the gas. No, never stop competing, yeah. I've been doing this, I'm on it. I just wanna be iconic. Sipping on a gin and tonic, got me going off when I'm on this.
And now, back to our show.
Okay, guys, thanks for giving us that short break, and welcome back to the second hour of our show tonight with our very special guest, bringing back on Cody and Satori. And thank you guys for joining us again tonight. I want to leave it back over to Ken because I know I left a lot on the table, and I know there were some thoughts out there also with regards to what Jason said. So continue on from this point, Ken. Real quick, I wanted to do this, Cody and Satori, before I turn it back over to Ken. Because it's the midway break, I don't want to wait till the end. Give everybody an idea of what's coming up, where you guys are going to be, where they can find you, besides with us on Patreon.
Yeah, so we have a lot of events coming up this summer, I believe. One of our biggest events coming up, we are actually going to be doing an installation at the S.K. Pierce Mansion in Gardner, Mass. We will be bringing a bunch of haunted objects from our museum and setting it up in the basement of S.K. Pierce Mansion. So you guys will be able to go for tours and investigate and rent out the location and have access to a lot of our haunted objects. So that's happening, I believe, July 26th all the way until the end of the first week of August, that 2-week period.
Yeah, so the
check
last
that
week
out.
of July, first week of August.
Yes.
And you can go to S.K. Pierce Mansion's website for information on that. I don't believe it's on our website yet, but it will be tonight because I have to add it in. We're also doing the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash, which is July 24th to the 26th. That's always a fun time. We're doing an event on August 7th at SK Pierce while our haunted objects are in the basement there. That's the only event we're doing during that 2-week span. So that's going to be pretty interesting. And then coming up August 22nd, we are doing Rolling Hills Asylum. We're going back there for an event, and tickets are on sale August 22nd.
The Sterling
August
Hill
22nd is Sterling
Sterling Hill
Hill
Mining
August
Museum.
29th is
Ohio State Reformatory, and then September 19th is Rolling Hills
Sorry.
Asylum. So check out paranormalcouple.com and check out the events
Just
tab.
go to the website. Don't trust
Cody,
what we
don't
say.
talk to
Just
Cody.
go to the website,
Talk to me.
paranormalcouple.com,
Yes.
where you need to go. We're doing events.
I was still rattling your dad's questions around in my head.
I know you wanted to answer
I
them.
know. Okay, energy is measured in joules, and that is force exerted times distance moved, and then you got to factor in friction. Darn it, Jason, you took me right out of it. We actually had a physicist at Payne House one time showed up and gave us the formula for that. And darn if I probably just kind of like, it's just. Okay, what I want to get back into is with Satori, you have a background degree in art.
Yes.
When you go to these places, have you found that things like portraits and paintings and handmade items, and we run across a lot of those things, does that give you any kind of emotional content about the people who may have lived there? They have proclivity for maybe using their imagination on things. You take like these little tidbits that get left behind.
So do you mean in terms of like, do the spirits have a connection, or do I feel that these?
No, I mean, with your background, you probably appreciate art
I
more
do.
than the average person does. It's like cool painting, bro, where you may see something else in it. So, yeah, I would say more as an observer.
Yeah, I think that so the beautiful thing about art is before photographs, now you have me going. So art is really like the way to capture and memorialize a person. So it's almost in a sense you're making this you're memorializing this person and their energy into this painting. So I definitely think that you can capture the emotion and their energy in an artwork, and I think that that sticks behind. One thing that I absolutely love, now you have me going off, are photographs, more specifically daguerreotypes and tintypes. And what's interesting about those is the way original photographs work is it's a light. So when light hits a person's face, it bounces back onto this plate. And it's almost like capturing the energy of a person using light hitting the surface. So really, it's imprinting you into a piece of metal. So I definitely believe that items like that can hold an intense energy and maybe even a part of the person.
I do too. I mean, we've been walking through different antique stores and things like that, and Satori will jump out and be, oh, this is a bowl, with the art painted by Jacques Balak, and it depicts this and this century and all that. And I'm like, okay, I just care about the bowl. How much is the bowl? You
so
want the bowl?
much time and money went into even painting a portrait of somebody. That is something that is very important, almost like how it would be an item that someone would cherish and ultimately hold on to energetically.
Yeah.
And photographs being the literal imprint of a person, I totally believe
And
that
we
those
have a
could be
ton of
used.
those objects in the museum where people have made something and had a connection with it, and now it's believed to be checked in by that person
But
because they've passed on now.
But seeing that in a location, I definitely will feel, I will feel that person. Like, I feel like when you can see those things, you can know a lot about a person just from the appearance or portrayal.
There's a lot of commonalities because when we go to a lot of these places, and you do too, there are portraits that have been commissioned somewhere along the line of these people, and they all represent a certain thing because a lot of times there's only so many poses. It's usually from three-quarter profile, and it kind of represents power or like stoicism, or I'm not getting into the thing where people aren't smiling because it's kind of hard to smile for 7 days when someone does a portrait of you, but there's a certain representation that seems to be common, especially in places where there was a matriarch or a patriarch of the family. They had just have that stoic sort of, you know, looking down, overseeing. And so I don't know if that tells you a lot about the personality, or maybe it was just an accepted way of sitting for a portrait.
No, absolutely. And then you can get into memento moris, where they realize that life is so short, and ultimately your life is this little blip, and then what's after that. So they need to memorialize their physical person now into
Right.
artwork and acknowledge that. And I definitely think things like that tell you a lot about the person and what they held dear to them and what's being portrayed. Absolutely.
Well, you know, it's kind of like, I don't want to get off the beaten path, but it's just like almost like cave drawings. You know, the way like when we go into a place, we start looking at open beams, right? Because we just love to carve stuff or draw pictures of stuff, and we still do, you know,
Yeah.
whether it's children or whatever. And I don't think that like ancient people with cave drawings, you know, where they had the something that looks like an astronaut with a glowing halo, and look, aliens were back then. I don't think we give ancient people enough credit for having imaginations.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, because you don't just eventually think about not being eaten or getting something to eat. I mean, the mind has to go somewhere. So it's like, you know, sometimes we tend to not think of ancient peoples as being creative or using imaginations.
And it wasn't only creative, we've learned. So we have a section in the museum that is the history of haunted items. And we can date this all the way back to like the cavemen when they were painting, you know, on the cave walls per se. They were manifesting their hunts. You know, they would paint themselves, you know, hunting for animals with the hopes that they were manifesting that that's exactly what was going to happen. So that's why we have arrowheads in the museum from that time period, to kind of I guess memorialize that's kind of where this whole thing that we can trace back to began.
But
Right.
So
I
there's a connection with art and the
yeah,
paranormal. You
but
know?
if you're gonna get into like the halos and things like that, I don't want to go off the beaten path too. But there is art from the 1400s, 1700s, way even before medieval art, where they are portraying these things in the sky that some may interpret as religious symbols. But there's also things that kind of seem very metal and seem very oddly placed, and it makes you wonder, like, did they see these things and document them because they thought it was a sign from God, but it might have been something else. So there's a lot of, if you get into it, I definitely believe they were also
I
portraying.
think we found our next discussion on a road trip, Tori, you and I, because I look at it as symbolism, and but I can see why people, you know, oh look, it looks like two spaceships like chasing each other, and you know, it's interesting to get into that.
Mhm.
So let's talk a little bit about preservation too, because we can't ignore that, because a lot of these places are really, and this is a point of emphasis, if you're fortunate enough to be invited or accepted to go into an historic location, don't downplay that in terms of the paranormal aspect of it, because it's probably not going to work out well. So my question would be, let's go the last, let's just call it the last 10 years. It goes back further than that. How vital is the paranormal community become in the preservation of these places, whether it's
Oh my
conferences, whether
God.
it's events, or it's pretty astounding to me. And I don't want to, like, you know, go patting ourselves on the back over this, but the truth is the truth. There is a lot of money being generated to these places by these events now.
Yeah, and a lot of them have survived simply because of the paranormal. There's more people going on a ghost hunt than there are the historical tour of the location, which is sad. You know, it's just it's a dying thing. Going to your local historical society, or going to tour the local historic building, but the thing that's in is going to ghost hunt at the local historical building, and that's what's bringing the money in. And more historical buildings, I've noticed, that were totally turned off by the idea of having a ghost hunt or something like that happen, have totally done a 180 and are like, yeah, okay, we need a new roof, and we don't want the paranormal investigating, but we need it right now.
Yeah, I think I understand why a lot of historical locations feel this way, because paranormal is portrayed a lot in the media as something that it shouldn't be. Very fear-based, very demonic and evil and possessions and all that stuff, and they don't want to promote that and make their location look like a sideshow. So I do get where they're coming from that standpoint. But if they were to find a trusted paranormal team that does things the way that they would feel more comfortable, and if they open their location up to it, yes, the paranormal is very big with money making. We can't hide that. I mean, the paranormal is such a big field, and it can be such a big business, that these locations would thrive if they considered opening up paranormal locations.
I've seen two things. I've seen history tours given at a place that eventually add on paranormal tours or events. And I've seen places that offered ghost hunts, if you will, that saw success in that now offer history tours.
Yeah.
But I think everybody has to realize grant money is dried up. No one's putting grant money in this. And at Payne House, our efforts there, again, no pat on the back, we're happy to do it, got the place shingled when it needed it. Is there one location that you guys can think of? Because you do a lot more traveling than I do to these conferences. Is there one place that stands out that you actually truly believe that their interest and, welcoming the paranormal in there literally saved that place?
Ooh,
There's probably more than one, but does one jump out at you?
well, I mean, I think I wouldn't say necessarily them opening up to the paranormal. I will say the James House in New Hampshire is in need of a lot of help, and they have started doing investigations and investigation events. The James House in New Hampshire, if you guys want to look it up, that place should have been torn down, like to the point where it was in such disrepair. But they are putting in the work to try to save that property to the point where the bones are good enough, and they're going to start building from there, and fixing up from there. And that's someplace where I think the paranormal can really help support that location.
And that was one of the locations that was left to the town of Hampton, and had no money at all. The town wasn't funding it, so that was running off of its paranormal investigations. And thankfully, thank God, they were one of the lucky ones that was just gifted a grant to fix up some of it. But they're still, that money from those paranormal investigations and donations and things like that is what kept that place running, and is going to still keep that place running. I mean, the grant was only for, I want to say, $25,000, so that's gonna be eaten up pretty quick. If you look at the state of the James House right now, there's no walls inside of it.
But
There's plenty of places, but there's also a lot of places that help these the paranormal helps these locations reach their goal a little quicker. Ohio State Reformatory, we just did the event there. They need a new roof. It's going to cost $1 million. That's what it's going to cost, and they need to raise that money themselves. And every penny from the event we just did goes towards that. Now, we didn't raise $1 million, but the more of these types of things, they're always doing
One step at a time. Yeah.
And that location is one of the locations that has added a paranormal department. Kathy Fiketic she works there as the paranormal planner, and so that's one of those locations that has added somebody in to spearhead those things.
And I think that's what's beautiful about the paranormal community. I mean, ignore the haters, ignore the people that have a problem with literally everything you do. But one thing that's great about the majority of the paranormal community is we can all work together and support these locations together. We're all
Right.
community that's like, okay, let's all put our money towards this. Let's all put a little money towards that. So we're really sustaining ourselves and these locations together, which is awesome.
Do you think then that do you think then that preserving history and preserving paranormal history kind of go hand in hand?
Yeah.
Because let's say, a place has a reputation and people have had experiences there. Once that place disappears, the stories may go with it,
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know. And those stories involve people.
Yeah, you can't have a
So,
haunting without the history. You
yeah.
can't have a haunting without history, and I think a lot of these historical societies or historic buildings, they can kind of hit two birds with one stone per se. With getting people in the door, they can do their history tour to start the night off, and then do the investigation right after. At least that's what we used to do when we did the paint outs and stuff. You'd always start with a history tour, and then do the investigation because you want to teach the people about what actually happened here so they have an idea of what they're
You
going
know,
into.
it's funny when we did that. I think the first things that we did were back in 2008, 2009, or something like that. It was Fort Adams. It was a Halloween event there. And almost instinctively, we said we have to emphasize the history because that is going to keep that door open for us. We don't want to do that at the expense of telling ghost stories. So it was almost like instinctively we said, hey, we have to also spend some time telling people where they are because the thing about history to me is if nothing happens on an investigation, I'm okay with coming away knowing more about the people, the town, the building, and learning things that I wasn't aware of. How many times have we left a place and just, wow, that is really cool.
Yeah.
What a cool town. What a great vibe, right? So it doesn't really come just down to, hey, get the EVPs. So that's why I think that you have to kind of embrace this. I want to go to the photos you sent, and these are objects from the museum, and I like to call it the museum of, I always like to put the word oddities in there too,
Okay.
because dolls get too much attention. But
Mhm.
if you're talking about objects that have been preserved and a couple of people that also embrace history and not just, oh, it's got a ghost story behind it, although some of these do, I'm sure. No particular order, Cody. We'll start with this one and tell
Uh,
us what this is. Yeah.
So that there is an actual piece of the Hollywood land sign.
yeah, so the Hollywood land sign was originally erected in 1923, I believe, and it was basically like a giant billboard.
Right.
That's the only thing I can compare it to for a development that was being built right in the Hollywood Hills there. So that was to advertise the new homes that were being put up, and it was only meant to be up there temporarily. But it ended up becoming a permanent fixture after a while, and because it was built to only be put up for a few months, it deteriorated quite quickly because of the materials that it was made of. It started to rust and fall apart and things like that. So it ended up having to be replaced. Now, there is a big ghost story per se that revolves around a really tragic event that happened, and we individual as well.
Yeah, so in 1932, a lot of people might know this name. A woman by the name of Peg Entwistle, who was an aspiring actress. She was involved in theater. Tragically, she felt like a lot of things weren't going her way in the industry, and she just was dealing with negative mental health. And unfortunately, she had leaped from the H of the Hollywood sign. So we do have items that were given to us through channels that were connected to that family. And a lot of people have claimed to see Peg at the Hollywoodland sign. So that's a definite ghost story in that area. A lot of people claim to see spirits near the Hollywood.
Right. And that's a story you guys know is, for whatever reason, I am so drawn to her story. I don't know why. There's no rhyme or reason. To finish that story, actually, when the following day after her suicide, they got a telegram from a playhouse in Hollywood saying, "Oh, you've been accepted to star or have." So, I mean, tragic irony, just amazing. Haunted Hollywood,
Yeah.
extremely strange.
It's a great
Check it
episode.
out.
I think it's your most popular episode. But
Yeah, I mean, who knew?
yeah,
Let's go to this one.
that one's a tough one.
So this one is an item. Now, before we get into this, I want to say this was not an item, obviously, that we went searching for. This item was actually found. So we're friends with Dave Schrader. If anybody knows Dave Schrader from Holzer Files, he's very sweet. And he will oftentimes notify us if there's an item that he feels like needs to be taken, or someone that contacts him. So somebody had contacted him because in one of they were looking through a family member's belongings, and it was a box of stones that came from all over the world during World War II. So this family member went and he served in World War II, and these were his items. And at the bottom of the box, they found this piece of marble. It looks like a piece of marble. And it says Hitler's home, the name of this summer home, and then the date. So they felt very odd, very uneasy with this item. They felt like they needed to get it out of their home. And some research led us to understand that this is from a very prominent home that belonged to him around the time of World War II. And they had a lot of their meetings in this home in front of a very large red marble fireplace. So we believe that this is a piece of that fireplace, and why we believe this person had it is because during the war, this home was completely destroyed. And a lot of the time, soldiers, especially American soldiers, will take items as almost like trophies of,
Right,
I
sure.
was able to tear down this terrible person's home, and I was able to take away this terrible person's riches. And, just kind of like that pride of, I was able to stop this person and take this away. So we believe that is why that item was in the collection.
Is this by some chance the fireplace?
Yes.
So there was really only one spot where this red marble had come from, and this fireplace was actually a gift to Hitler by the Italian dictator Mussolini. And you can obviously see in this photo. Of course, we didn't take this picture. We've never been there, but you can see that pieces of the fireplace have been chipped off over the years, and
Right.
and
We do believe this is a piece of that fireplace. We do. It just matches. It seems to be the only thing to match that we know of.
Okay. Let's show this guy.
the witch whistle.
So that is a witch whistle. So that comes from France. We were contacted by this very sweet woman, a very long email in French. And she told us the story that her great-grandmother, her mother's grandmother, used to be part of a coven. And they heard the stories that the coven would meet up and do ceremonies and rituals to try to help people. It was definitely a positive community kind of based coven, or they would definitely send energy back to people that were throwing energy towards people, if you know what I mean, like return to sender type thing.
Sure.
So this witch whistle is made with a bird's foot, and the purpose of it is the person that is given this whistle or makes this whistle has to blow into it to ward off an illness. So the bird foot would be the bird flu of the early 1900s. So this was used in ceremony to ward off the bird flu at that time. And the reason it was donated to us is because when it was found, it was blown into, and they did not get a good feeling because they were not the witch that it was designated to. So that's why we have it.
Well, this is the other thing now. We're starting to also, when we look back on history, we're starting to get into culture and superstitions and a lot of things that Europeans brought over with them to the New World, including disease. That took its toll on indigenous tribes for sure. But history has like a lot of different levels. It's not only a physical object, it's the stories and the culture behind it that are to be learned, if not embraced, at least to be learned. I remember this coming to my house one time, and this is another one of my favorite things right here. So,
Okay, the piece of the
Yeah.
Hindenburg. So, the Hindenburg, for those that don't know, it was like a floating cruise ship. That's the only thing that I can compare it to. It was the prime luxury of the 1930s. The Hindenburg was over 800 feet long. It had luxury dining rooms and ballrooms and lounges. It was a beautiful ship. The only downside was that it was filled with hydrogen, which is, as we know, extremely flammable. So on May 6th, 1937, in Lakehurst, New Jersey, the Hindenburg was attempting to dock at the Naval Air Station. And as it was docking, it's believed that it kind of bumped into the back of the ship, bumped into one of the hooks that kind of keep the blimp tied down, which somehow caused a spark, which in turn, unfortunately, ignited the and caught it on fire. And that's where we got the famous saying, "Oh, the humanity," by Herbert Morrison's famous radio broadcast. But this piece, I'll let Satori talk about this. We actually took this, for those that know the TV show Antiques Roadshow. This is one of the items that we brought over there to get a little more history that we didn't know about.
Yeah, so what's interesting is when we brought this item, people were oohing and awing, and we brought it to someone who might know a good amount about the Hindenburg, and as soon as we walked up, they just went, "That's a piece of the Hindenburg," and it was cool to have it confirmed right off the bat like
It was
that.
because something about the color, right?
Yes. So what's interesting about the Hindenburg is the skeletal framing of the airship was made with this metal, and it was painted green. And the reason it was painted this color is because it was fire resistant paint. Funny enough. And what's interesting about this piece is we believe this is part of the airship that ignited first, the end that ignited first. And the reason that it's believed that way, this expert said, is because some of that green paint is melted off. So the fire burned for such a long period of time, it actually burnt off the resistant paint. So that's what leads us to believe that this is from I believe the back of the airship where it ignited first.
Yep.
Okay. And then finally, another one that should be familiar to everyone.
Yeah, so the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, February 14th, 1929. So this is the era of Prohibition here in the United States. And in Chicago, you had the North Side Gang, headed by Bugs Moran, and you had the South Side Gang, headed by Al Capone. Everyone knows Al Capone. And these two gangs are at war with each other. So on the morning of February 14th, 1929, at one of the warehouses that Bugs Moran kind of operated out of, him and his gang, they were waiting for a shipment of illegal alcohol. And instead of the shipment, they have a bang at the door, and they open the door, and it's a bunch of men, some dressed in police uniforms, and right away they think it is a raid. They're being raided. So they're told by these so-called police officers to get up against the brick wall in this garage, and 7 men are unfortunately, has their. I'm trying to be careful with my words
Their
because
lives
of you
taken.
Executed.
executed, okay, by certain weapons. And turns out that these weren't policemen at all. This was some of Al Capone's gang that were kind of taking out the competition, per se. So 7 men, unfortunately, lost their lives up against this wall. And the wall kind of took on a story of its own. So if you fast forward a little bit, there was a radio broadcast happening that the garage was going to be demolished. And somebody was driving in their car. His name is escaping me right now. And was like, wait a minute, this is a piece of history. This deserves to be saved. So he got a hold of whoever owned the building at the time, and I believe it was being used as like a thrift store or something, and said, I want to save the wall. And they were like, okay, you can have the wall if you take it apart and get it out of here. So this individual, brick by brick, took the wall apart, and as he's taking it apart, he puts a letter and a number, rows and columns, and makes this map so he can build the wall exactly the way it was at his brand new bar in Canada. And the bar was a staple in the men's restroom, believe it or not. That's where the men relieved themselves in this bathroom, and it was
Where the wall was.
where the wall was. So after a while of that being like the centerpiece of the men's restroom in this bar, he started selling off a few pieces here and there, and he would put these little plaques on them and sell them off. And some people at that point in time started claiming they were having paranormal experiences, and wanted to send the bricks back. There was a few cases of that. So the bar ended up closing down, and the rest of the wall ended up in a museum in Las Vegas, where it's still on display now. And the museum down there, the bricks that are missing, they've replaced with new bricks. But there's a few of the original bricks still out in the wild, and we have one of them. We have the letter and number still written in black charcoal on the back of ours, and when we have it displayed, we show the map on where the brick belonged. But a lot of ghost stories revolve around this incident. Al Capone, when he ended up going to jail for tax evasion, out of everything that he did in his life, that's what he ends up going to jail for, prison. And he, ends up being haunted by a spirit,
Right.
believed to be one of Bugs Moran's gang that was, unfortunately lost their lives that day. I believe his name was Jimmy. And the other cellmates, claimed to hear Al Capone pleading with the spirit at night.
This was at Eastern State Penitentiary, by the way.
State penitentiary, yeah.
Yeah.
And basically pleading with the spirit to leave him alone, and that he's sorry. So a lot of ghost stories revolve around.
I was going to say, every one of these items has some type of connection
Yeah.
to that type of thing.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Again, the paranormal and history, don't discount one for the other. If George wants to come in here, George, we got some questions if you want to handle those right now. I'm going to hang around for these, but feel free to go ahead. They're starred, and
Yeah.
we're off.
First, it was just McCrandally. This is just a comment here. Good to see Cody and Satori on here. I've missed them on their channel. Why aren't you on your channel?
So we've been extremely busy lately, but we have 2 investigations done and recorded, and we are actively editing them. So stay tuned. We have videos coming.
No, there's 3 of them.
Is there 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
I,
Well, then we have
I can't hardly wait because there's some stuff.
I
Those are
know.
great
You're
things.
going to love it. It's weird. I will let them break it down. I don't think we've talked extensively on Sunday about it. We maybe have on Patreon, but I'm waiting for you guys to.
Yeah, there's two cases in particular. One, both in New York. One in which we noticed people's emotions changing, in a location we were in, which we've never personally watched before happen, and it just got very strange. And another case where we heard somebody that sounded exactly like Ken when Ken was not there, and we caught that on camera. So we're very excited to show you guys what we have.
So those will be coming out soon, and of course we still do our live show. We just again been busy. It kind of landed on weeks that we were traveling on the road for events and stuff. But we will be live this upcoming
Between
Thursday.
events and Conjuring House and wedding planning, it's been crazy, but we'll get on it, guys.
Yeah.
So if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe and hit that reminder bell so you'll be notified.
Thanks.
Who's come out. Okay, next one here
Hey, Brendan.
is from Brendan. I wonder if spirits see us as a physical person or a spirit ourselves.
Yes, so I love this question. So what I could tell you, we can only tell you what we have been told. Obviously, you can take it or leave it, however you want. We have heard that spirits see us as light, which is very interesting. And I will say it seems that the older we get, the brighter our light becomes. So I'm wondering how that correlates. It's almost like we're light trapped inside this little body, in this little shell. And
I'm like a freaking supernova right now.
so that's how they see us. At least that's how they've explained it to us.
Yeah, and I will add on that Brendan looks very dapper in his picture there. He resembles Tom.
He does.
Very Tom Petty-ish.
Very Tom Petty-ish.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you, Brendan. Appreciate that. Okay, we've got Jennifer with a question for you guys here. And it is, have you found any possible common denomination for someone being unable to cross over? As an example, tragedy, unsolved issues. It's the $1 million question, the whole aspect of crossover. Does
Yeah.
that even exist? Or once your spirit, you can move at free will?
So you do have free will. I will say that when you're a spirit, you're a spirit. There is other places that you go that are not here. And I think some spirits do find that they are afraid to go to that other place. Some do linger here more often than others. But the only times we've really experienced cases like that, there was one case where I think there was negative things this person did in life, and they were terrified of to go further than where they are here, this in-between space, because they were afraid of what they believe in being true over there for some of the things that have happened in their life. Cases of where spirits have come through and just felt very nervous to go there.
So in other words, what you're saying is they're literally trapped by their religious beliefs.
Some seem to be held back by what they believe to be true, but
Right.
I think that I think it's more just based off of the things they have done in life and the way they've acted have caused some things. Because there was a case where you did with Taps before I was even involved, where you had a spirit that was nasty until you guys talked to him. Remember? Do you remember that? You'll remember after the case. You were talking. He was a nasty man. A nasty man. You and Tracy.
Oh yeah, okay, yes, and he was he was a very mean man in life, according to his neighbors and everything else. And we believe that once he passed on, he was afraid that if what he believed in was true, he's not going to the place that he should be going. So we believe that's why he was still hanging around the home based on the evidence we were getting.
So that's really what I'm basing it off of, experiences similar to that.
I kind of view it as, I view crossing over probably a little bit differently. I think crossing over is when you pass away. Like when you pass away, you become a spirit. You're now a spirit. You've crossed over to another realm now. And whether you're afraid to go somewhere or do something, that I would consider you're kind of either confused or lost or something like that.
It's a very personal reason. It's a very personal reason for that.
Yeah, but the times that have happened are extremely rare. Most of the spirits we talk to are okay, and perfectly fine.
Hmm.
A question from Susan B. Brown, who wants to know, do you think some spirits think that some other spirits lie or embellish on their stories?
Spirits have sold out other spirits before. Yes, we've had responses from spirits that don't sound very right, and then sometimes you'll have another spirit come through and be like, "That's a lie." Yeah, we do have that. Definitely, people in life, it doesn't change much your personality when you go over there. So they do very human things like lie sometimes. Yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
Good friend Dan St. Marie, wants to know, Satori, what do you think about Victorian era woven hair memorial pieces?
I think it's very similar to art. It's a form of art, and I think that you're taking something that would be imprinted with a person's energy. I believe that hair is very important, and many cultures and beliefs do. And you're taking something with that energy, and you're making something out of it. So yeah, I think it's very similar to art.
I think it's cool.
Yes.
I think it's really neat.
Hmm.
All right. And finally, once again from Dan, this is about the witch's whistle. Is Lorelei okay?
She seems okay.
She seems okay.
She seems okay.
We had never personally heard what the whistle had sounded like, and Lorelei, right away volunteered at the last event we were at to blow it and see what it sounded like. And I says, well, we told her the story. And like, if you do that, it's at your own risk. We are not responsible if anything was to happen. And she says, no, I firm on what I believe, and I want to do it. So we're like, okay. We didn't ask her to do it. She, it was her idea, and she seems okay. She texted us, a couple days ago. So we've heard of her as of a couple days ago. So hopefully she's still okay.
It's all in the advancement of the field, the risks we take. Can can I ask one method question?
You can go ahead and do that. Don't ask me.
Cody and Satori, it's a very generic question.
Okay.
Okay.
If you have not yet asked, can you in the future ask about orbs? Are some of them manifesting in orb form, or is that the purest, simplest geometric shape, that round ball, for them to be able to travel? Have you asked about that yet?
We have not
Wow.
specifically asked about orbs, but I do know that spirits have claimed light,
Yes.
light manifestations in light. So I mean, I believe some of them are definitely real.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We've never asked that though, and that's a good question. That's a really good
We
question.
should ask. We will ask for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's a really
There
good
you go.
I'm actually interested in that.
I know. We're gonna have to ask now.
Yeah. Ken?
What?
Well, thank you. Thank you for answering that.
Oh, that's
All right.
great.
I have 72 more questions. How much time do we have?
It's funny that you do talk about the orb thing because I think they break them down in percentages. The vast majority of them are Doug's bust. No, those kind of things, moisture particles. And then they got another category that's probably plasma, naturally occurring things. And then you have that smaller percentage that I don't know about that, but that's true of everything in the paranormal.
I do want to say, I see a comment from NTD7 Paranormal. It says, well, if I ever end up being a ghost or whatever, I'm going to make people think that I'm a demon. Closest thing that can get off my lawn. And I would do the same exact thing. So I think there are many cases where people feel like they're dealing with demons where there's either a logical explanation or it's a human spirit. And I think a lot of the time they just have an attitude that's negative. But I would totally convince people that I'm a demon for fun.
There was a perfect scenario for that at Trans Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, which we've got to get Ken over there sometime. You guys have been there, haven't you?
No.
Oh my God. Yeah, bucket list to be sure. But we were doing a spirit box session there, and this person asked a question, who is it that attacked so and so on this floor? and of course the spirit box comes back almost immediately with a demon,
Mm-hmm.
and they all started to get all, I'm freaking out and goose. I said, listen, we're in an asylum. You got spirits here who claim they're Jesus. I said, so your chances of it being an actual demon are slim to none. Don't even think in those terms. But yeah, I could see somebody coming across with that without question.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't
A
think
little
it's going to call themselves.
inside Patreon disclosure, real quick, is I asked, Ken was on the phone with you last Monday during town hall. I asked a question. You guys were on the road and responded, which was regards to spirit guides and guardian angels.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do they exist? And
Yeah.
your answer was what?
Well, we believe that everybody has somebody watching over them. You know, I mean,
Nice.
out of everybody that we've communicated with, and again, everything that Satori and I say,
You could believe
is
it. You
our
could not
opinion.
believe it.
You can believe it
From
or not
our
believe it,
experience.
just from our experience.
Yes.
But out of the times that we've communicated with people, especially when we go to individuals' homes and things like that, um, you know, the spirits that we've talked to are there because they're watching over the living people that are there. And if you want to call that your guardian angel, then I think that's the perfect word for it.
We
because
believe-
that's what they're doing.
We believe some are family, some may not be family, and just like a designated, I guess you would call them a guide or somebody that's watching out for you. I do feel that everybody does have one. I mean, sometimes we'll do things with what we do, and usually only time we get some weird communication is a spirit will come through and be like, don't do that. Like, you occasionally get the very loud spirit that comes through and says like, stop, don't do that, or I think you should do this instead, and we take that as a guide, somebody coming
That the last comment you put, that's something Joe would say.
Yeah, I love it.
Joe's turned him into an alcoholic.
I
It's going into the history part of it and communicating with spirits. A lot of times, depending on when they were alive, you might ask a question or make a statement like, do you know what a psychic is? Do you know what a spiritualist is? If they're around the 1700s, 1800s. But it's a slippery slope because you never know what they think of spiritualists and psychics. So it's important to kind of separate those two things. But in another way, you're trying to give them a frame of reference in terms of forgetting the method, but what we're doing. We're putting these gadgets and gizmos down, and we're not trying to be anything like that. But, sometimes you're sitting there, if you can acknowledge us with a knock or something, we're still doing that stuff. We're still doing that stuff, Sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. But this is what I mean about, know your audience, so to speak. Know who it is that you're communicating with and how they might speak. And yeah, I just think it's vitally important. It's important to me, to someone else it may be meh. But
Yeah, no, I agree. And a lot of like the terms like spirit guide and things like that are terms that we made. You know what I mean? And so it's tough when asking questions like that. I think the guiding part, as far as the spirits go, is the thing, and this is just my beliefs, is if someone's ever forgotten something at home, like, oh, I forgot my cell phone at home, and you have to turn the car around to go back and get it, and then you're driving again and there was a car accident that happened just seconds before you got there. That could have been you know what I mean? So in my beliefs, I'm like, okay, that was somebody on the other side, made me forget my phone that day. And that's just what I believe. That's just my religious beliefs. But that's what I think the guiding part is, that sometimes they're out looking for you.
So I like that question. If there are strict rules, boundaries, and a governing authority operating on the other side, how does anything come through at all? So I definitely think there are boundaries. And I think there are rules over there. I don't think they are how we think of boundaries and rules. I think it's a lot more lenient than we're thinking it to be over there. And I don't know if the boundaries and rules, like, there are things that spirit won't tell us. And again, you can believe us or not believe us. There are things we've asked or spirit won't tell us.
We're not supposed to know everything.
We're not
So,
supposed to know everything.
so maybe it's maybe all that is designed to keep us asking questions because the first one that comes to my mind is who imposes those boundaries?
Yeah,
Is it accepted or like, you know,
I think knowing some things would have worse consequences in the long run, for all of us. And I think in a way they want us to experience now and they want us to experience life. And they don't want to do anything that could change that for us the way we're supposed to experience it. So I think that's why there might be some boundaries, because we're
100%.
supposed to have our experiences and live out our lives the way we're supposed to. But I don't think it's anything like spirit cannot come through and speak with us and keep us questioning.
see, I wonder if life is a step, the spirit realm is a step, and perhaps there's something beyond that, and it's all a journey. You
Yeah.
know, if the spirit realm is, well, that's it, you finally made it, but maybe there's something beyond that.
Yeah, we've talked to spirit, and a lot of the times we ask if they have a message or advice, and they just say live life. That's
Yep.
it. Really, that's really it. This is supposed to be. I think this is supposed to be some sort of experience, learning experience for us.
Mm.
So I really do believe that. So it's
Yeah, I agree
interesting.
with you 100%, Satori. I think that, again, the mystery is the fun of it. I think that, again, throwing everything together and, even with the skills and abilities that you two have, they're kind of still like, yeah, slow down, wait a minute. We can't give you this, that, whatever it may be,
Hmm.
simply because there may be answers that we shouldn't know,
Yeah.
whatever that may be. I've used this before as an example is if we're told no matter what you do in this life, we all go to the same place. Not heaven, not hell, but it's an energy realm. We all go to the same place, no matter whether or not you are a priest or a serial killer, we all go to the same place. That's not good information out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not good information.
Yeah. And
So,
those are the things we don't know, and I think there's a reason for that. I
Well, I
really do think
mean,
there's a reason for that.
yeah.
a lot of that stuff is just a human construct,
Hmm.
and we're bound by a human construct,
Absolutely.
you know.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree.
This has been a really boring interview tonight. Horrible conversation. I'm ready to go another hour. I know Ken is too, but we don't want to keep everybody up too late. And it's always a great pleasure to have you guys come join us. Maybe a future town hall will have you guys pop in also. But we've got uh, some great and exciting upcoming live events. You want to talk about it one more time, Ken, before we end out tonight?
Sure. I guess the starting point as of right now, and if it changes, we'll let you know. Probably going to be around 8 o'clock. We're going to arrive at 7. There is very little setup to do anymore. Thanks to Julie. Thanks to some of the technology we're going to be using now. So we're going to be at the Lafayette Durfee House, very prominent historical place. Lafayette, meaning Marquis de Lafayette, who spent some time there, which is weird because we just had a whole Revolutionary War, thing going on a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
where we heard all about him, and then this comes up. Coincidence? I don't know. But we appreciate the invitation to go and the invitation to film. And like I said, one of the reasons we are is they want to get something going there. So by doing it, we're kind of helping them. So next Saturday night, that's a special night. I'm saying 8 o'clock, so the whole gang will be there. And for our Patreon viewers, whatever Cody and Story decide to do with their Patreon audience, like last time, a lot of people we have common members. So You'll be getting a link as you did last time. And those of you who aren't members, well, consider joining, watching the event, participating with us, looking at the cameras, letting us know what we might be missing and what's going on, ask us questions and so forth. So
Yeah.
come spend next Saturday night with us. It promises to be a lot of fun because it's another one of those places none of us has been to yet.
Yeah. We've pretty much come to the determination that our Patreon members deserve first crack at these live investigations. So all future investigations, live broadcasts will be done via Patreon. Postmortems, the highlights of the investigations will be on Sunday night shows. As
Sure.
far as next Sunday night, Ken has a pre-engagement. He will not be uh, there on Sunday. So we have got another TikToker group that are going to be joining us. And my guest joining us as a co host, our good friend Theron Beyond the Veil, is going to be joining us. So should be a lot of fun, guys. And as always, we thank you for being here with us. Cody Satori, don't hang up just yet because I know Cody, you had a question to be answered.
Yeah,
And then.
I was just going to say, if possible, if people could check out SaveTheConjuringHouse.com. We have some things available for the fundraiser that we're doing, and we are about to put up some really fun little things, like we have little bracelets that say Save the Conjuring House and all sorts of things like that will be going up. So definitely check it out if people could.
Thank you for that. We didn't want to get out of here tonight without letting you know. So
Yes.
Yeah, and whoever buys the most amount of merchandise, what do they get at the end of it?
Well, all funds go towards helping acquire and take care of the house. So you get that, and you get some really neat stuff with it. And when the house opens, it's definitely going to be a house for the paranormal community. So it's going to be awesome.
It's a win-win.
Yes.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that. Love the new designs. Look at that. He's all over it. He's all over it.
Check it out.
All right, guys, that does it for us tonight. We thank you so much. Patreon Town Hall tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Thank you all. Have a lovely Memorial Day tomorrow, and we will see you next week. Until then, take care of yourselves. And again, Cody Satori, hang in there. Ken, over to you.
night. Bye-bye.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad. After her there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me, turn it up a few degrees. My imagination of her body gets the best of me. Oh gosh, she's such a tease.